But and then how did you you went through your career, and then at what point did you start your first business?
So I was in and out of recruitment for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. And it got to the point where I'd completely fallen out of love with the industry. Still enjoyed the job, completely fell out of love with the industry, and was casting around for something to do. And I arrived at taking on a catering franchise in a golf club.
Mm-hmm.
With the view to, because I couldn't just take on a catering franchise in a golf club, I was looking at doing one and then lily pad it across a number of clubs. And so I finished work on a Friday evening in Manchester in recruitment, and took off my suit. And on the Monday morning, I went into Leeds Golf Club and did 100-person banquet dinner.
Wow.
Pretty much on my own.
I'm guessing you can cook then.
I can cook, as you can probably tell. I enjoy a bit of food. I've always been a great cook, but and there's a big difference between being a great cook and a good chef. Good chefs are not always great cooks, and great cooks are very rarely good chefs. And I was a great cook and didn't know how to be a chef, but I decided to go and start a catering business, which is very similar to lots of things that I've done. And so I went working in golf clubs, and I'll be honest with you, recruitment was easier. There's a certain type of person that inhabits golf clubs, and most of them will attract words that I can't say on a family-friendly podcast. But I was not a particular fan of the denizens of golf clubs. Gentlemen with lots of money who have extremely expensive tastes, but extremely long arms and deep pockets, I think is the best way to describe it. And it was extremely frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the vast majority of the time I spent there. It was an enormous learning curve for me in terms of running a business, doing something different, pushing myself way beyond what I thought I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for 4 years.
Wow.
And ended up running franchises in 2 different golf clubs. And actually, it was never going to be the business that I wanted it to be, because there's not enough profit to make the risk of having 2 or more worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think if there was a business model that worked for those things, you'd see people like Compass and Eurest and whoever else in there already. And it just isn't. You can make a really good living out of one,
mm-hmm.
but you can't make a business out of more. And so in my usual back to front fashion, I closed down that business and took a job in a 2-rosette gastropub in North Yorkshire and learned to be a chef for a year. So I actually took a step back, actually went to work in someone else's kitchen and learned to be a chef and had a wonderful time.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're not someone that's not afraid to follow their passions.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was an itch that I needed to scratch, because there's a big, and this is where I go back to saying, great cooks are very rarely good chefs, and good chefs are very rarely great cooks. The business of being a chef is not about all the time, not about creating good recipes, because most of those have already been done. The skill in being a chef is being able to do the same thing over and over and over again, and it to look exactly the same, and to taste good, and most importantly, to do it fast, and to consistently crank it out at the same speed, at the same standard, all night long until you're done.
Mm.
I tell you what, there's lots of stuff to be to not recommend that job to anybody, because it's bloody hard work. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's dirty, it's smelly, it's all the things that you could probably imagine. But it is the most mindful existence you can ever have. You live entirely in the moment, other than when you're doing your prep in the morning, but you live entirely in the moment. And once service is finished, it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. There's pointless worrying about it. It's done. The food has been eaten and will be somewhere in the waste disposal system the middle of the following day. So it doesn't matter. You just pick up and crack on and get on with the next one. Great grounding. I loved it.
So how did you go from there to kind of both launching where you are now